The Bis key on saxophone, that's this little key in between the B natural key and the C key or A fingering on your saxophone. And this little Bis key is really useful at times. However, it's never played on its own, but rather together with one or two other keys. So there are two main use cases for the Bis key. And in this video, I'm going to cover both of them so that you know everything you need to know about how to use the Bis key when you are practicing and playing your saxophone. By the way, my name is Gregor Hillman, and this is a video from LearnSaxophone.com where I teach you how to play the saxophone. But let's jump into the first use case right away. And that will be if you want to play a B flat, and instead of using the regular or basic fingering, which is the A in your left hand, two fingers, and the first side key like this, you could use the Bis fingering in order to get that same B flat. And you do that by using just your index finger and placing that in between the B natural and Bis key. And that way you can press down on both like this, and you will get the same note. And now you may be thinking, well, if I can just use one finger instead of using two fingers here and the side key, why shouldn't I just use the Bis fingering all the time? Well, it's not really useful all the time. There are a few exceptions where it doesn't really work well at all. And that's if you're playing, for instance, the B major scale or the F sharp major scale, because there you have those half steps in between A sharp to B natural. And if you try to play this fingering going back and forth like that, it doesn't really work. But besides that, the Bis fingering is really useful. Still, if I will give you an example, when you're practicing your major scales, for instance, let's do F major scale that has just one flat, and that's the B flat. My recommendation is that you work on your fundamentals, and that will be doing the basic fingering first. So the basic fingering being the A and the first side key. But then when you've done that, you also cover the Bis fingering. So let me give you an example here. First with the regular fingering and then with that Bis fingering. Here we go. Now Bis fingering. Now there are more use cases for this Bis fingering. For instance, if you're playing a G minor pentatonic or maybe a blues scale, it's also really useful to do this Bis fingering instead of the regular fingering. So here's an example for that. Makes it a lot easier to play fast and do those changes between the G and the B flat and the C, C sharp, and so forth. So that's another use case. But there are a couple of exceptions as well. For instance, if you're playing an F sharp major scale, it doesn't make sense to use this Bis fingering. And if you're playing a B major scale, it doesn't make sense to use that Bis fingering either. And that has to do with that half interval that goes in between A sharp and B. So let me play F sharp as an example so you can hear and also watch the fingerings. As you can see, when I walk through the notes, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B natural, if I would try to do the Bis fingering here, that wouldn't really work well. So in that case, and also with B natural, it's a lot better to just go with the regular fingering for that. Now, as I mentioned, there are two main use cases. Now, I've so far showed you the Bis fingering, just the index finger right here. But there's another use case, and you're actually not pressing down on the Bis key on your saxophone. Still, you're using it. And how is that possible, you may wonder. So let's cover that as well. If you want to trill between B natural and B flat, you could either do it like this, so B natural to B flat, and back and forth. If you want to do that really fast, it can become a problem because you need to sync up your second finger here and your side key. Now, the benefit with the Bis key is that you can actually press down on just the B natural key and then use your index finger in your right hand. And look, when I'm pressing down on that F key in my right hand, the Bis key is closing up here as well. So that way you can actually play B natural to B flat, like that. And then it all of a sudden becomes really easy to trill between B and B flat. Pretty great, right? So just to recap, you can use the B or the Bis key in two different ways. Either with the Bis fingering like that, or using the B natural fingering and pressing down to trill in between the B natural and the B flat. Well, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on how to use the Bis key on your saxophone. If you did, please give this video a like. If you got any comments, you can post them below. And I have some other videos over here that you can have a look at. And I also added a link below this video that will take you over to learnsaxophone.com, where you can read more and see more examples of how to use the Bis key. But that's it for now. I thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Play on!